for attending the Community-Based Adult Services Initial Certification Training, where we will be presenting the California Department of Aging's initial certification process. This program, also known as CBAS, is how we will reference the program for the duration of the presentation. Joining me today are initial certification team members who will assist with the presentation. This presentation provides a high-level overview of the CBAS program, pre-screening package, and initial certification application components. We will not discuss various caveats or unique scenarios. If you have additional questions after this training presentation, email us at our dedicated email inbox, cbasinitialcert@aging.ca.gov. Thank you. Today's objectives are to 1. Understand the basics of the CBAS program, history, and model. 2. To understand the components and requirements of the PSP and initial certification application process. And 3. Know where to access resources. In this training, we will refer to the CBAS website and show you where to locate various resources from the main CBAS homepage. Sometimes CBAS applicants may opt to have dual programs, such as an Adult Day program, also known as ADP, or the Program for All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly, also known as PACE. This program will not cover any components of those programs. This presentation is sectioned off into chapters. This will allow you to go back and re-review sections as needed. Chapter 1, the CBAS program background and program authorities. Chapter 2, introduction to the CBAS initial certification process. Chapter 3, pre-screening package, also known as PSP. Chapter 4, file in, file out, also known as FIFO. We will reference the CBAS homepage in future slides. Here is a screenshot of what the full page looks like today. While the website may undergo updates and layout changes in the future, you should be able to find all CBAS resources here. We highly recommend you bookmark this page for future reference.
We will begin with Chapter 1, CBAS Program Background and Program Authorities. CBAS is an added layer to an adult day healthcare licensed program. Now let's take a quick step back to briefly discuss some of the layers. 1. ADHC provides services to older adults and adults with chronic medical, cognitive, or mental health conditions and/or disabilities who are at risk for needing institutional care. 2. CBAS is available to licensed ADHC centers as a contracted Medi-Cal managed care benefit. 3. CBAS is available to eligible individuals enrolled in a Medi-Cal managed care health plan and through fee-for-service Medi-Cal for individuals exempt from managed care enrollment. The CBAS program is unique in its community-driven and person-centered nature of social and medical support. The objective of the CBAS program is to offer services that restore or maintain optimal capacity for self-care and that delay or prevent institutionalization, thereby improving health outcomes, access to healthcare services, and integration of care for Medicaid beneficiaries. The goal is to maintain individuals in their homes and communities for as long as possible. The current CBAS program is a revitalization of the ADHC program that ended on March 31, 2012. The ADHC program ended as an optional benefit under California's Medicaid state plan due to fiscal constraints and scrutiny of fraud. The Darling versus Douglas lawsuit in 2012 was filed in response to the elimination of ADHC, claiming that it violated the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. The legal settlement of the lawsuit created CBAS as a waiver program. While ADHC was a statewide Medicaid benefit, CBAS became a waiver benefit first under California's Bridge to Reform waiver in November of 2010, and later through Medi-Cal 2020 and Cal-AIM Section 1115 demonstration waiver. Both waivers require the benefit only in counties where ADHC existed as a benefit prior to April 1, 2012. ADHC still remains a non-Medi-Cal program for private payers. CDA and the Department of Healthcare Services, DHCS, still reference state codes and regulations originally written for ADHCs in the 1970s and 1980s for the current administration of CBAS. For additional information, visit the CBAS homepage and click Program Narrative and Fact Sheets. On the Program Narrative and Fact Sheets page, applicants will find helpful information on the CBAS program code, program description, benefits, eligibility, and funding, as well as the fact and narrative sheets. We encourage you to review the information here in more detail at your own pace. On June 10, 2019, Governor Gavin Newsom announced the signing of Executive Order N-1419 calling for the development of a master plan for aging. In this speech, he stated the following: an aging population will introduce new opportunities for economic and community growth, but also drive increased health and long-term care costs. We need a plan that brings everyone to the table: local communities, labor, private sector, and philanthropy, to help us understand what's coming and guide us toward taking better care of older Californians. In alignment with this population growth and in response to this executive order, the Master Plan for Aging outlines 5 bold goals and 23 strategies to build a California for all ages by 2030. California's Master Plan for Aging includes an initiative under Goal 2, Health Reimagined, to assess the need and opportunities to modernize regulatory and licensing barriers and expand access to community-based adult services. You can access this information and learn more about the Master Plan for Aging by visiting the following link listed on the screen. The CBAS program is unique to other Medi-Cal long-term services and supports interventions in its combination of social, medical, and therapeutic supports and its community-driven approach of providing services at a CBAS ADHC provider location. CBAS is administered under an interagency agreement between the Department of Healthcare Services, DHCS, the Department of Public Health, CDPH, and CDA. These agencies work together to set policy and administer the ADHC and CBAS program, license ADHC centers, certify providers for CBAS services, monitor ADHC CBAS provider performance, including complaints, maintain and report program data, provide technical assistance and training, monitor and oversee managed care plans, coordinate oversight activities, and administer fee-for-service CBAS benefit. This presentation will only review the initial process for obtaining CBAS certification. Let's examine how the agencies work together to issue the ADHC license and then complete CBAS certification. All applicants begin by submitting PSP to CDA. You must also submit a licensing application to CDPH for ADHC licensure. Once licensed by CDPH, you will submit your CBAS initial certification application to CDA to receive certification from CDA as a CBAS provider. Finally, DHCS activates the National Provider Identifier, or NPI, which allows the CBAS provider to contract with MCPs and bill for CBAS services. Participation eligibility requirements for CBAS include adults 18 plus with chronic medical, cognitive, or mental health conditions and or disabilities at risk of institutional care. This can include participants who have a nursing facility level of care, A or above, participants who have an organic, acquired, or traumatic brain injury and or chronic mental disorder and require assistance with supervision with 2 or more activities of daily living or 1 ADL and 1 specified instrumental ADL. Participants who have Alzheimer's disease, stages 5 through 7, or other dementias at moderate to severe level. Participants who have mild cognitive impairment, including Alzheimer's disease, stage 4, or other dementias and requiring assistance or supervision with at least 2 ADLs and or specified IADLs. Participants or individuals who have developmental disabilities. Additionally, participants must be enrolled in Medi-Cal managed care and meet Medi-Cal income and asset limitations. They must also reside in the same county or live within an hour's drive of the CBAS center they plan to attend. There are some exceptions to this as stated in the Welfare and Institutions Code section 14550H. Eligibility is determined by the Managed Care Plans, or MCPs, and in a limited capacity by DHCS for the few individuals who continue to be served via the Medi-Cal Fee-for-Service program. However, most CBAS participants are Medi-Cal managed care members. For more information on CBAS participant eligibility, please visit the address listed at the top of the slide. On this page, you'll also find information on individualized plan of care completion and a copy of the CBAS eligibility determination tool. CBAS providers are required to be open for at least 6 hours on the day they are licensed to operate. They must provide services for at least 4 hours to participants to receive reimbursement. Each CBAS certified location provides the following core services: professional nursing services, therapeutic activities, social services, personal care, and 1 meal per day. CBAS services must be provided in person at the CBAS certified location, except for qualified emergencies under Emergency Remote Services known as ERS. For more information on ERS, visit the CBAS homepage, click on the Training and Webinars section, watch ERS training presentations, or click on the Emergency Remote Services section for additional details related to ERS. In addition to the core services mentioned, CBAS providers are required to provide the following additional services: physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, mental health services, transportation to and from the participant's residence, nutritional counseling. To learn more about Cal, AIM, and other CBAS program authorities, let's go back to the CBAS homepage and click the link to Program Authority as circled here. Once you click on the Program Authority link, you will be taken here to our CBAS program authorities. In the top box, we have the Cal AIM section 1115 demonstration waiver, CBAS special terms and conditions, and CBAS provider standards of participation. The middle box includes a link to the CBAS certification standards. The bottom section includes links to various codes and regulations that apply to ADHC, such as the California Health and Safety Code for Adult Day Health Care Act, California Welfare Institutions Code for Adult Day Health Care Programs, California Code of Regulations for Medi-Cal Certification Adult Day Health Care, California Code of Regulations for Licensing of Adult Day Health Centers, and the Home and Community-Based Settings Regulations for the California Bridge to Recovery Reform Waiver.
We will look at a high-level overview of the CBAS initial certification process and what applicants should consider before starting. For many, the road to licensing and certification may appear like a complex highway with many different components going different places. Often, applicants are unsure where to start. Over the next several chapters, we hope to help direct you along the road to licensing and certification. Let's look at a high-level overview of our processes. The gray bar shown along the top of the slide represents the steps you must take with CDA to obtain CBAS initial certification. The first step is for you to start and submit your PSP for CBAS review. After all answers are accepted by us, you will receive the PSP approval letter. From the date the PSP approval letter is emailed, you have 12 months to submit your CBAS initial certification application. Once all application documents are approved and we receive a copy of the issued ADHC license from CDPH, schedule your CBAS survey. Once the applicant passes the CBAS survey, we will grant the CBAS initial certification and notify DHCS to activate your NPI. Now, let's look at the steps you will take with CDPH for your ADHC licensing application. Overlaps with the CBAS certification steps. Again, once you receive the PSP approval letter, you can then submit your ADHC licensing application to CDPH. They will review the application packet for completeness and process the standard 850 to request the fire safety inspection. After the application is deemed complete, they will assign it for a detailed review and arrange payment of the licensing fee. Then the application is sent to the appropriate district office to complete the survey. If noncompliance is noted, you must resolve it for CDPH to issue the ADHC license. If there are no deficiencies, the ADHC license is issued. We will review steps in greater detail in chapters 3 and 4 of this presentation and chapters 5 through 11 in the second presentation. Here, we will review the difference between the PSP and the CBAS initial certification application. The PSP is designed to provide you with resources, training, a template for developing your program plan, and document conversations with your local MCPs in the proposed geographic location. This way, only the applicants who have the support of the MCPs and who are prepared to deliver quality services proceed to the application process. The CBAS initial certification application includes all state-required forms for Medi-Cal participation and further demonstrates your readiness for CBAS certification. Let's discuss roles and responsibilities. You, the CBAS applicant, must provide regular communication throughout the process and provide updates on construction and your application status with CDPH. Please add our email address to your contacts and regularly check your junk or spam folders for any communications. You must adhere to deadlines. You must provide complete and accurate information. You must be knowledgeable of CBAS program authorities to ensure they submit a complete application and maintain compliance once certified. You must utilize resources such as the previously shown CDA website. Please be advised that all documents submitted to CDA are submitted under penalty of perjury. As a result, pursuant to WIC 14043.2 and California Code of Regulations Title 22 51000.50, any altered or falsified documentation will result in denial of your CBAS initial certification application. The CBAS initial certification team will provide technical assistance, communicate via phone, email, and on Zoom or Microsoft Teams as needed, review your responses and documentation and provide guidance accordingly, provide updates upon request, and schedule and conduct the CBAS initial certification survey. So how long does it take to obtain CBAS initial certification? The combined time for both the PSP and CBAS initial certification application may take 18 to 24 months. Contributing factors may include a complete and acceptable PSP, development of required policies and procedures and job descriptions, construction and/or remodeling and obtaining the final certificate of occupancy and fire clearance, complete and acceptable CBAS initial certification application, all the required staff, training staff, obtaining the ADHC license from CDPH, and passing the CBAS initial certification survey. You must conduct your own independent research and be knowledgeable of CBAS program authorities to ensure you submit a complete application package and maintain compliance once certified. You submit documentation that is incomplete or non-compliant with CBAS program authorities. This will create significant delays or result in denial. It's important that all documents are double-checked for accuracy and completeness prior to submitting them for review. Remember, CBAS program authorities can be found by visiting the CBAS homepage and clicking on the link for program authorities. We recommend all staff be trained and familiar with navigating the CDA website and locating the CBAS homepage, as this is a valuable resource. You should consider these questions prior to starting the CBAS application process. Will construction be complete within 12 months of the approval letter for your PSP? If you are still in the process of securing a location, you should wait to see if that future location will meet the space requirements or require construction or not. This is one of the greatest delays in the application process. What needs did the market analysis identify in the area? For example, are there challenges with access to CBAS services, hospital admission and readmission rates, nursing home admissions, chronic health conditions, food deserts, or lack of access to transportation services? How will this center stand out from other CBAS centers? What is your targeted demographic? How many eligible participants live within an hour of the center? How will you build the center's average daily attendance after certification? What community organizations will you partner with? Will the staff meet the language needs of all participants? Keep in mind that CBAS providers must provide informational materials for participants in their primary language and hire staff or offer translators to meet participant needs. These are just a few of the questions to consider before starting the CBAS application process. To find information about existing CBAS providers, please visit the CBAS homepage. Let's take a look at these two circled links, the service area map and the data and reports. Here is the CBAS service area map. The information on this page could be helpful when you are deciding where to open your future ADHC/CBAS center and where such services might be needed. On the website, you can click on the counties shown in blue that are active service areas. From there, it will bring up a list of all CBAS providers certified there. That one day, California will have at least one CBAS certified center in each county. Under the data and reporting, helpful information on all existing CBAS providers. The CBAS providers includes a full list of names, locations, and addresses of all current CBAS providers. Participant characteristics Link to the participant characteristics report that include information on the limited number of diagnoses, status, needs, and CBAS services provided for each participant. The CBAS overview includes how many current participants are receiving services. Again, this is all great information for you to reference when making informed decisions on pursuing a CBAS initial certification.
In Chapter 3, we will review the PSP portion of the roadmap in greater detail. As mentioned, the roadmap to CBAS certification has many different components. We will provide more specifics based on each section to ensure a complete understanding of the process. In this section, we will be discussing the PSP process specifically. We will focus on the area inside the orange dotted line. Here, the applicants start their PSP. Before or during the PSP, you will contact the MCPs and complete any required CBAS CDA training modules. Meanwhile, the bottom line shows how you are working to secure a location, complete any required construction, and obtain your certificate of occupancy. The CBAS process is designed to ensure that you are well prepared to deliver quality services to Medi-Cal Managed Care Plan members, which allows your program to grow and thrive. It's designed to orient the prospective CBAS applicant to program requirements by submitting an acceptable program plan, familiarize the applicant with CBAS and ADHD program requirements and application processes, and foster communication between CBAS applicant and local MCPs about the proposed CBAS provider. These three major components provide DHCS and CDA with the necessary information to determine whether the applicant meets the minimum requirements for participation in the Medi-Cal program for CBAS certification. Here is an example of an ADHC organizational chart. The organizational chart must include the licensee and owners and demonstrate a clear reporting structure. This here shows the required staff and various codes and regulations that align with the program elements and staff responsibilities. Please note the key along the bottom, which notes program authorities and codes and regulations where they can be found. Here are the remaining positions for CBAS providers with the key along the bottom. In this P phase, applicants will document their conversation with the MCPs in their area. All MCPs fall under the authority and jurisdiction of DHCS. Applicants can find a list of the MCPs by county on the DHCS website under the Managed Health Care Plan directory. See the address listed on the slide. Please be advised, MCPs may contract with CBAS licensed providers but are not obligated to. Despite the original answer given by MCPs, it's the applicant's responsibility to continue communicating with MCPs throughout the application process in hopes that contracts will be available once the applicant receives their CBAS certification. It's important to consider how the center plans to increase its average daily attendance based on the targeted population it plans to serve. For example, what community organizations or individuals do you plan to partner with to generate referrals, and how will you put down roots to ensure stability? You may be wondering what the next steps are after submitting your PSP. Once you have completed all required questions, the CBAS Initial Certification Team member will review the PSP, provide technical assistance, notes, and references to resources. This cycle will continue until all answers meet program requirements. If the PSP is not approved, you will receive an auto-generated email to revise your PSP and resubmit. If the PSP is inactive or not submitted within 6 months of the beginning or receiving CDA feedback, the PSP will automatically expire. If you're still interested in CBAS certification, you must start the process over by creating a new PSP. This will result in the new PSP number being generated. Applicants will receive their PSP approval letter via email. We've attached a sample approval letter, which is shown here. The email must be packaged with the Adult Day Healthcare licensing application, which we will discuss in future slides. This letter also includes instructions on how to obtain access to FIFO, which is CDA's online file sharing system. PSP approval letter shown here. The approval letter has some important instructions such as the date the PSP expires. You have 1 year from the date of the PSP approval to submit a complete CBAS initial certification application to CDA, including proof of a secured location. Failure to apply within this 12-month time frame will result in the expiration of PSP approval, and you will be required to submit a new PSP to obtain CBAS initial certification. Program plan components include organizational background, and center overview includes information about the licensee, the reason for the proposed new location, and the population they plan to serve. You will also describe the facility details, hours, the design, and space requirements. Reminder to use the service map and data and reporting sections of the CBAS homepage to find more information. And administration covers description of staff positions for the administrator, program director, and medical director or staff physician. Training plans and population is where we will review your new orientation training plans and in-service training plans for staff and volunteers. For anticipated behavioral symptoms, you will describe therapeutic intervention strategies or programs that staff will use when participants who exhibit behaviors will negatively impact their ability to participate or that may pose harm. Staff responsibilities is where you demonstrate your understanding of the CBAS program authorities for each staff position. Managed care plans is where you will document notes on your phone calls to local MCPs.
In Chapter 4, we will discuss CDA's secure filing sharing system called FIFO. Your application and obtain access to FIFO, please submit your request to CBAS initial cert at aging.ca.gov and include the following information. In the subject line of the email, write FIFO access request, the legal name of the organization or licensee applying to become a CBAS certified provider, your PSP ID number, the center name, and the contact person's first and last name, phone number, and email address. Once this information is submitted, a FIFO folder will be created and you will have access to the CBAS initial certification instructions and tools. In August 2022, CDA discontinued receiving initial certification applications via U.S. mail and began utilizing FIFO, a file sharing system that stands for File In, File Out. Reminder that the directions for setting up your FIFO folder are in the emailed PSP approval letter. In FIFO, you will have access to your centers folder and a second folder titled Initial Application Introduction. This holds the most current instructions and tools to assist you in making sure your application is complete. Therefore, it is best to establish access to FIFO right away. You have a 12-month deadline to submit the licensing application to CDPH and the certification application to CDA. The 12-month deadline starts from the time the PSP approval letter was emailed. Shown here is the FIFO login screen. Please note CBAS does not accept any application components via email. FIFO is used to submit your application files safely and securely. This holds the most current instructions and tools to assist you in making sure your application is complete. We currently have the following two forms. CBAS Initial Application Instructions, and CBAS Initial Certification Application Checklist. The initial application instructions provide detailed instructions for each form. As forms are revised or our application process changes, CDA will update these instructions, so it's important to reference them to ensure you have the most current version. Please also keep in mind that while several forms are the same ones submitted to CDPH, CDA may request different information on the copy submitted for initial certification. The second document in this folder at the time of this presentation is a checklist. This will help applicants ensure they submit one complete application package. Email CBAS Initial Cert at aging.ca.gov when you are finished uploading documents to FIFO. This will notify us that your application is ready for review.
We have covered a great deal of information. Let's review the objectives of the presentation. By now, you should have a better understanding of the CBAS program history and model, the PSP components and requirements, and know where to find tools and resources. We hope you revisit this presentation as needed. You can refer to the chapter title slides to help navigate through the sections. This concludes the CBAS History and PSP Overview presentation. Don't forget to watch Part 2, where we'll cover the remaining steps related to the CBAS initial certification process. Thank you for attending.